I really tried my best finding out how being healthy works, but it seems impossible. Everyone says something different. There has to be something like a simple checklist. It can't be the first one who wants to be healthy. Hey guys. One of my dearest topics is health, both physical and mental. I always was a person who was very bad at dealing with the suffering of other people, especially with health in the family. Thus, I read up a lot about the topic over the past decade and came up with a few priorities that are both in line with evolution and science and with common knowledge. Today we analyze the health priority list. But before that, I already said that in other videos, but most definitions of healthy are flawed. The only definition that makes sense is health as behaviors that mirror our ancestors' behaviors or environments or recreate those environments and behaviors. Most of those influences are summarized in the Pavlov hierarchy of needs, and it consists of parameters like stress and sleep, moderation in eating, exercise, social things, etc. But not all of them are equally important. Let us find out what matters the most and what matters the least. That said, even the least important item on this list matters a lot in this case. They are all crucial, but sometimes you first have to fix a problem to encounter a new problem. Anyway, let us begin with the most important thing. And the most important thing in any case when it comes to health is being informed. You have to have the right view and the right knowledge on things. If you believe in wrong things, your behaviors and all your striving will be directed at the wrong things too, and you have to be very, very careful there. It is easy to believe a wrong piece of information that you can't cross-validate yet, for example, that leads to behaviors that actually harm you in the long run and not help you. So this point is always, with anything, always the most important thing. You have to have right knowledge and right view to actually believe the right things and follow the right methods. After that, you should be concerned with fulfilling all of your basic needs. Otherwise, you will run into all kinds of health troubles, because not doing that results in stress and mental health problems and all kinds of other insufficiencies. For example, if you have no home where you live, it is very likely that you will be stressed all the time. If you have not enough to eat, you also have a problem. If you have not enough clean water to drink, there's also a problem. All those things are absolutely essential for being healthy. If you don't have the option to do the things that follow on the list, then you will have a problem. You have to have a somewhat stable situation, otherwise health is impossible. And only then can be things like bad stress and sleep be avoided. You should make sure that you aren't stressed. Stress is one of the best indicators for future health problems, just like overweight is. And those two are very heavily influenced by each other, because many people use food as a coping mechanism to deal with bad stress. And as a result, the sleep will also be bad. But in turn, bad sleep also leads to a lot of stress. So you have to start somewhere. Both things should be avoided like the plague. If you can, maybe do some meditation to deal with the bad stress and maybe even improve your sleep quality. Meditation does that. Meditation really helps there. But there are all kinds of other things that you can do to avoid stress and bad sleep. There are many things I mention in my book, for example. And only then do other things become important. For example, humans are social creatures. Being social was incredibly important as a human, because we have much better chances to survive in an evolutionary context if we were in a group. And a group was always well prepared, or better prepared than other groups, if they acted in unison. So we have social needs that have to be fulfilled. Otherwise we feel very bad and there will be a lot of stress that we encounter. And that brings us back to the prior part of the pyramid. But we should be very careful to cultivate good social behaviors and behave in ways that makes us agreeable to other people. When we are, people will be more willing to spend time with us, and it will be much easier to fulfill all the basic social needs we have. For example, having good friendships and good relationships. In a sense, we rely on those things to improve our situation at all, because one person alone can't really make a difference. We need other people that assist us, that teach us, that help us. And we also just need it for the very basic stress-reducing and mental health improving qualities. And after that come things like moderation in eating. And this is one thing that I can't really overstate. Most things or most nutritional items, most food items can be digested by the human body. The question is, how much do we eat? In Germany, we have a saying, die Dosis macht das Gift. It pretty much translates to the dosage decides if something is poisonous or not. So we can eat a lot of things, we can digest a lot of things, but if we have too much overall, then we have a problem. And being overweight is among the best predictors of future health problems, just like being stressed is. Because being overweight causes stress, and being overweight is often a coping mechanism for stress. So the two can't really be divided or separated from each other, and we have to be very careful. But nonetheless, even if we are stressed, it is still a good idea to not cope by overeating. So let's say when it comes to the nutritional aspect of health, obviously I'm not a health expert or health official, but I would still say that 80% of all nutritional health aspects are covered by not eating too much and getting what you need. In essence, you have to get all the micronutrients and macronutrients that you need, and then you shouldn't have more than that in calories. And this is one of the best classifiers of health. When you do that, and when you scan through all of the studies that are out there, you will likely find that people that eat less than what they need on a very consistent basis, or exactly what they need, tend to be very healthy. The reasons for that are manifold, but nonetheless, this is a very crucial observation. And after that comes the exercise aspect of health. Humans evolved in a context where we always moved. And everything that is always present is something that becomes essential over time. Thus, moving or exercising in general, it can be as simple as walking for an hour each day, is essential for health. It assists in our digestion, it increases the blood flow, and when the blood flow is increased, it is much easier to combat, for example, inflammations in the body. Because every repair process in the body is more or less dependent on blood flow, because the blood brings nutrients to the cells and removes waste products out of the body. Without having a good circulatory system, it is very difficult to be healthy. And it is even more important for exercising for heavy working individuals and stressed individuals, because there can be a lot of metabolic byproducts floating around in the blood that have to be removed from the body, for example. The exercise part of health is non-negotiable. You have to do it. For example, if you look at people in old folk homes that do not move at all, they tend to be in horrible health. You even have to turn them so they don't die. There is a condition that's called decubitus, I think, in Germany, where your body slowly dies because the circulatory system relies on regular movement. There are even mattresses that help you in achieving that, if you are a very sedentary person or a person in a coma or things like that. So it is absolutely non-negotiable. And only as a last aspect, it can still wreak havoc on our health, because everything that impedes or obstructs our mental health also affects our physical health, is self-actualization. If you feel goalless, if you feel like your existence is meaningless, you can still get depressed. And one mental problem like that really affects your mind will also affect your physical health at some point. So you should take care of that. Maybe have a big vision in the background. Maybe have some meaning in the background. There's a reason why religious people, for example, are on average happier than people that are non-religious, because they have a big life goal, and everything can be judged and evaluated in relation to that big goal. So the small things that happen in life, like being too late or being in a traffic jam, don't affect you as much if you have something bigger that you strive for. And this is very important. But nonetheless, you should really make sure that the bottom part of this priority list is fixed first. You first have to understand the right procedure and don't follow wrong ways. Then you have to fulfill all the basic needs. Then you can fix the stress, etc. Because sometimes problems that are further down the hierarchy are implications of things that are lower down the hierarchy. For example, if you have wrong knowledge, then you will likely not take care of your basic needs because you don't think it's important. And then you will run into problems in the long run. So the lower problems often cause the higher problems, and you should really take care of those. Okay, but let us now come to some additional information. When it comes to health, for example, I am a bit of a, well, black-pilled person, to use the young people's internet terminology. I am completely puzzled why there is so much conflicting information out there that simply makes no sense. When I follow studies in that area of nutrition, for example, everything seems much more like an agenda, and institutions that should research health seem to just work on their self-support. Healthy behavior is rather simple when you really generalize all the studies out there. But it is hard to implement. Maybe people want to look for an easy way, but that simply does not exist, and capitalism tries to provide what people want, even if it doesn't exist. So we sell false promises as content creators, which is not a good thing. We should not do that. We should avoid it at all costs. And I really want to stress the importance of the simplicity of all of it. It is still hard to implement, but the rules we have to follow are quite simple. Anyway, let us now come to the most important point. Health is incredibly hard to define, and there is an information flood on the topic out there. There's so much information that you can't find facts that support anything. And the only definition that somewhat makes sense and has few problems is evolution-based. If we roughly behave the way our ancestors did or recreate past environments, then we are likely healthy. But there's even more of a problem because people invent stories how our ancestors behaved. And it's kind of hard to find out how they really behaved. But anything that our body, for example, can digest was very likely something that had a big enough evolutionary influence on us. So otherwise we couldn't be able to digest it. Many animals, for example, rabbits aren't able to properly digest fats or things like that because they never did it in the past. But we did. We are omnivores. So we likely ate all those things in the past. Otherwise, there is no reason for our digestive tract to deal with those things. And in summary, get enough sleep, have little stress, live mindfully, eat in moderation, exercise, and socialize. And that is pretty much all it takes to live a very, very healthy life. And all the information in my book, for example, tackles those topics to make sure that you are well prepared for a good and happy life, and maybe even for spirituality, for the last self-actualization aspect of the pyramid. Anyway, that is pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy what I do, feel free to leave me a thumbs up and maybe subscribe to the channel. But until then, I wish you a pleasant day and goodbye.